Hello everyone, I am Dr. Eric Morrison. This is 7 Under 3, and I'll be covering trading education using the TC2000 and TradingView platforms. Hello, this is the Futures Week in Review. I want to go ahead and get started on some of the fades that showed a lot of positioning advantage for the week. First one was the Canadian dollar. Now, as we used the Z3 back in June, for this particular turn, the turn continues to be crowded and continuing to work so far. So it did kind of peak here and then have some retracement. Now it's kind of doing a reverse fishbone and getting some more strength to the upside. But I like this positioning science along with the turn, and to be able to utilize the Z3 for a particular turn when the crowding is in our favor. Another one that I attempted to do this week was the Japanese yen. Now, as you can see here, it hit the Z3 as it continued to go down. It had this gravestone joji, so I was kind of, what I'd say my probabilities were pretty good. Then came down and stopped me out. So it's not to invalidate this as a potential turn for next week, but it could be. We just were out because of good risk management here. And for next week, we'll go ahead and continue the Z3 down and see if it continues to go down. For this, we have a COT index in support this week, and it's still massively crowded short. One thing to note, though, when you're looking at the yen is to also look at the Nikkei. And at the Nikkei, it went ahead and went the other direction, right? It started to go up and then started surging up, though that large speculators were massively short. It's kind of squeezed them out. But if you look at the Nikkei yen, it kind of gives you a better picture, as it is massively crowded short. In the yen, a lot more liquidity here, more input in terms of open interest in terms of 12%, and the COT index is in support of a long, even though it's up against the RL270 and the Z3. And as you can see here on the weekly, it continues to have a lot of room to the upside. So as the US markets go up, so does the Nikkei, and it also is continuing to surge in terms of this overall positioning here. One thing to note was the previous week was that the Nikkei was crowded long. So this is interesting that it did an incomplete flip for the previous week, that all of the overall traders, commercials, large and small speculators, did a reversal for the Nikkei. But watch that in terms of the Japanese yen along with the dollar, because the dollar is currently up against the Z3 excursion, but it is massively crowded long, and it is strong right now. It's up against a potential pinch here and squeeze. It could pop up to the upside. Who knows? But the COT index says that it could have some continued pressure to go to the downside. So as the dollar goes down, then the Japanese yen goes up. As the dollar goes up, the Japanese yen continues to go down. We'll see what the markets do for next week. Looking at the currency category, which includes all foreign currencies minus the dollar, it is crowded short. Nice buy positioning here for this, but as you can see here, it's kind of flat for the week, or the past 3 weeks. No major movement on the foreign currencies with respect to the dollar rising. So with the Japanese yen, that overall trade was a loss because I utilized risk management at the Z3. Another loss here was the bonds. It was up for a nice long and just continued to drop precipitously down to stop me out. Russell, however, had a nice long move here, and as we caught the bottom tick here on this overall trade, I don't hold over the weekend or anything like that, but is continuing to move to the upside. And as you can see, the Russell is now mixed, so if you went ahead and got out at the point of control, that would have been a good trade there for at least a 2-day there while it's continuing to consolidate. Cotton was a nice trade going forward, and again this week it has a nice COT index, still crowded short to the short side, but only in the 50 percentiles. But it is at the point of control, so this is a good overall fade for next week. The Zealand dollar did a beautiful short fade here, had a nice overall stop at below the point of control. Went ahead and just dropped all the way down to the RL270. Nice overall trade. This week it's poised to continue to the downside. However, we're at the RL270, the 200, and the Z3. You have to be careful with the dollar. If the dollar does go up, New Zealand dollar will go down. If the dollar goes down, the New Zealand dollar, in this case, like it is, going up. So be very careful. Make sure you watch the dollar too as well. Looking at cocoa, just wonderful trade overall. Had a low here at 85.12 and just continued to drop precipitously down to close out around 7,700. Nice overall trade. Biggest gain for the week. Now here are a couple trades that I didn't do but were on the most euphoric. I mentioned the Nikkei dollar was poised to go to the upside, and it did. Nice overall COD indice, and as you can see here, previous COD index was to the downside the previous week, then just totally flipped. The entire COD index flipped and went to the upside. I didn't take this overall trade, but then after seeing the Nikkei yen, I would have had a lot more confidence going in for that trade, even though it has low liquidity. Another trade that I didn't do but was marked for an overall short was healthcare, and as you can see, it has very low liquidity here. And the spreads during off hours are very, very big. But that is a move of $1,500 to the downside. Just watch out for the liquidity being low like this on the net contracts, because this could come back to bite you. Even though it made a significant move to the downside, the bid and ask has to be a little bit closer in order for it to be a nice trade in terms of liquidity. So what do we have for next week? We have the British pound, Mexican peso, New Zealand dollar, South African rand. Cocoa still very much crowded long. Dollar. Gold futures has a COD index along with the dollar. 80 percentile in terms of crowded long. Very crowded. Copper, coffees, OJ, platinum, silver, energy, consumer staples, healthcare still, rough rice. Oil has now moved into strong selling positioning along with the mid cap. Emerging markets too as well with the COD index. NASDAQ is also now crowded long. Utilities. Looking at strong buying positioning, we have the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, Brazilian real, Swiss franc, cotton, feeder cattle, futures with the COD index, lean hogs. I noticed all the grains were all going down despite being crowded short. Starting with hard red wheat, the Nikkei yen, ultra 10-year, corn futures, major drop on Friday, soybean futures, and wheat. So the yellows and the purples, weak selling positioning and mixed positioning respectively, along with the blues, a weak buying positioning. VIX is starting to pop up, especially on Friday at the point of control. And I noticed a lot of the metals. Looking at the metals category, we're still massively crowded long, the 70th percentile for all 5 of the metals: gold, copper, palladium, platinum, and silver. But we don't have a COD index in support yet. Started to creep up a little bit, as you can see, the past 3 weeks. We'll see where it goes. One thing that I want to note here as far as the equities are concerned, that open interest dropped 31% for all 4 major indices. We got the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, Russell, and the Dow. So watch the dollar for next week. It is going to be a holiday week where there's going to be low volume, especially for 2 days, the day before 4th of July and the 4th of July. So there might be some consolidation this week, despite looking at the other currencies that don't celebrate the 4th of July. But generally during this week is a poor trading week and low volume. If you're interested in these kind of strategies going forward, programming in both PineScript or Python, auto trading, and joining a community to better understand the commitment of traders tables through Crowded Market Report, click on the links below. And remember, ruthless risk management. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see you on Sunday. Well, if you like this video, hit the like Rumble button below and the subscribe button. And if you want more information, click the course information links below. On the TradingView link and on TC2000, I have an affiliate link. If you open up a TC2000 account, you will receive a $25 discount using that link. Thank you for your time.